The TSW Round Table is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Head to StarWarsCommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Welcome, everybody, to Episode 5 of the TSW Round Table. I am your moderator, Robert Cass, and I think we got a great show lined up for you this month. I am joined by a couple of hosts from around the Commonwealth we're going to introduce. I'm going to start with, let's start with the first one. My Canadian brethren, all the way, Montreal, close enough. James from the Tumbling Saber, welcome to the Round Table.
Well, thank you very much. I think we're going to have a good time. We've already been pre-chatting and warming up, and I've already laughed more than I assumed I would for the whole podcast, so we're on a good start. Excellent, good.
And again, we're recording like at Sunday afternoon, and we got another Canadian I'm going to mention in a second here, but we got for Canadians in middle of hockey playoffs to be taken out
of their... left. What are you talking about? Hockey's over.
Yeah, the Habs are out. Well, hey, you hear my Devils won the draft lottery last night.
Yeah, there's something going on.
That's another thing. Anyway, this is Star Wars. Sorry about the hockey chat. We're Canadian. We can't help it. And my second esteemed co-host for this round table, all the way from Indiana, I believe.
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah.
From the Skyhoppers podcast. Ben.
Esteemed is kind of a strong word, I think, but I'm happy to be here nonetheless. Very excited to be taking time out of my Sunday afternoon.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, we've already had Ash on, so it's like...
Exactly. I got to catch up. I can't let her be the more prolific co-host. As far as I know, I do have a lot of catching up to do, since she seems to be all over the place in Star Wars podcasting these days.
Yes, I've noticed. She's
a hard act to follow, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And also joining with us all the way from 40 minutes south of where I actually live in Ontario, the VIP this evening, Jay. You want to say hi to everybody, Jay?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here, and my very first podcast appearance, so I'm very excited.
Oh, we'll be gentle. Yeah.
Welcome, man.
Awesome. So here we are, Roundtable. Basically what we do, we get VIPs from around the network. And exactly what you just said, Jay. We try to give our favorite listeners of Star Wars podcasts a chance to actually come on a podcast with hosts of their favorite podcasts or top 10 podcasts.
Ones you've heard of.
Safe to say.
Excellent. So, and what we usually ask of we put our VIPs on the spot and our listeners on the spot and ask them, Jay, do you have a question you want to pass around the round table?
I certainly do, and it's one I've sent into other podcasts, and I haven't really gotten a good answer for it yet. For the prequel trilogy, the Council basically knows that Anakin he's trouble. They know this in The Phantom Menace.
Right.
But yet they have Obi-Wan still, after Qui-Gon's death, they have Obi-Wan still train him. I always wondered why they never at least started him off with Yoda or had a more experienced person be involved in that training. They seem to know this is going down a not favorable road, but yet continue to just let someone who's never trained a Padawan before train the chosen one. So I wondered what your thoughts were on that. Okay,
I'll throw it off to James first. James, you want to...
Yeah, good. I'm glad. I'm going to be the least informed on most of these. I'm definitely the comic relief on my branch of the Commonwealth shows. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, which somebody will, and I probably will be, but I think the Padawans went through all of the Jedi Council or many of the Masters. It wasn't... They weren't just trained by their one-on-one relationship Jedi, Padawan Jedi relationship. I think they were trained by all of them, including Yoda. Am I mistaken?
Okay, well, Ben, do you know what the path from youngling to Padawan the Jedi is?
I know it decently well, I think. I think for most Padawans, or most younglings, it generally starts out, you start in we see it in Attack of the Clones, there's like a kind of a classroom environment.
Right.
For children of a very young age, I would say upward, like between 5 and 10 or whatever. And that's kind of backed up by the Kanan comic. which is one of the new canon comics, and Kanan spends a lot of time, or Caleb rather spends a lot of time around like his peers his own age, and it seems like at one point they are like chosen by a master, but but from my understanding is that it's still not completely exclusive, because if you look at the Clone Wars, you have Ahsoka is just a Padawan, but she's still very much kind of under the tutelage of Plo Koon, even though Anakin is like her assigned master. Okay. So I think it's there is kind of someone you're linked to, but I also think it's very much like it takes a village to raise a child, that type of thing. Whereas you can still go to others and branch out if that's
that makes complete sense. I always got that Master Yoda. He says he's trained all the Jedi, and what I always assumed, and especially from the prequel movies, when you see him with all the younglings all the time, he was kind of like their grade school teacher, right? And then prepping them to eventually be paired off with a Jedi Master someday. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I never got a sense that it was a vetting process. I pretty much assume once you're taken on by the Jedi, you're in there for life. Like, you're not like, oh, you didn't make it through youngling school, you don't get to graduate to be a Padawan. Like, you can't grow a rat tail and braid it. You don't get to. You know what I mean? So I assume they would go along, like, have classes and just like almost like a regular, like a, pardon me for saying, like a Hogwarts type thing. Where they got different teachers for different, obviously, like for their saber fighting and this and that and force wielding and everything. And then eventually they get paired off with a Padawan. Maybe Anakin was, because he was the quote unquote the chosen one and they knew it, maybe he was just too old. Like he was just old enough to be paired off with somebody.
I was wondering about that too, because obviously Anakin's downfall is his attachment and the fact that he forms attachments to, first his mother and then later to Padme. And I'm wondering if they almost didn't, because they knew that Anakin would become attached to whoever they stuck him with. Right. Barring any kind of unforeseen major conflicts between the two of them. So I'm wondering if they didn't just think, okay, you know what? He's going to be attached to whoever we stick him with. We might as well stick him with someone that he knows already. And it'll help. You know what? And maybe Yoda is even trying to further Obi-Wan's training by saying, look, this is something that's really difficult. And I almost want to see if you can do it. But that's kind of contradicted by the fact that at the end of the Phantom Menace, Yoda is very, very unhappy with the idea of Obi-Wan training Anakin.
Yes.
And so.
Okay, well, I'll throw it back to Jay. You obviously have an opinion on this. Do you have a definitive answer, like in your headcanon, of why this is, or is it just something that's always bugged you?
I wouldn't say bug. This is the way I'm wired. I like to deconstruct everything like this in Star Wars. But I always found it fascinating that they went from the beginning where it was basically they told Qui-Gon, no, we're not going to train him. And Obi-Wan says the line along the lines of, the council can sense he's dangerous. Why can't you? And then at the end, it's like when Yoda's talking to Obi-Wan, it's the council agrees with you. We'll train him. There is one thing that you could kind of say that overshadows everything, and that's the power of the dark side. This underbrewing current that kind of obscures all of their thought processes. It seems in certain instances that could have also played a part in this. Like this is somehow manifest destiny, and this is the way it was always meant to go down, and that dark side clouding their judgment may also be a factor in that.
Yeah, and again, that's like the Sith. Even Palpatine said, everybody who has power fears losing it, including the Jedi. And maybe the Jedi know they have what they believe to be is the chosen one. So they, like you said, it's almost like forced destiny, where it's like, we have to train him. And maybe with Obi-Wan training him, because he was so by the book. Anybody else get that in the prequels? Like he would always chastise Qui-Gon for like, stop railing against the council. Like you'd be a council member by now. And they know that Obi-Wan is straight lace. This is the way it's supposed to be done is the way it's going to be done, and knowing they're going to have issues with a child that's joined the order way late in life compared to the other ones, maybe they thought, okay, this guy, he's not going to give him any slack. He's going to be on him about everything. So because he's going to have less early training, maybe he's going to need more discipline. So that's why they got Obi-Wan with him. And so, James, do you think anything else on why you think maybe it's just the force of that they're doing this for the story reasons, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem counter to like the no attachment policy. Like, if you're going to assign him to a master, why assign him? It's easier to form attachment with the guy you already know well. So like, just start him from scratch then, if that's a big important part of this. Right. It does seem counterintuitive, from that perspective. So you got to chalk it up to. And I guess part of it too, as I watched it, I sort of got the impression that like asking permission of the council was like courtesy, sort of like asking the girl that you want to marry's dad for permission. It doesn't really mean you can't marry her. I sort of always felt that it was sort of that way with that as well. Like, doesn't mean Qui-Gon wouldn't have done what he wanted anyways. Right. Or, you know what I mean? So I think that might have weighed into the decision as well. Yeah, like the council is just standing on ceremony, Yeah, so. and they realize that it's probably going to, like probably a lot of father-in-laws who might want to say no. They realize it's going to happen no matter what. Yep. So you just sort of you go along with it, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, and also too, like with the council, and as much as they had their heads in their butts, and that's why the dark side was able to reemerge and eventually take control of the galaxy and wipe out the Jedi. They knew it wasn't a good idea to train this guy. Like, then it would have been, okay, roll credits, done, story over. This is just a short movie. Yeah, exactly.
That's just like there's that meme going around where it's Qui-Gon asking young Annie, do you want to be a Jedi? And then he's like, no. And then end credits directed by George Lucas.
So I guess, okay, well, we got a few options here. Obviously, plot dictates that Anakin has to be Obi-Wan, because we've already known this because of the original trilogy. It could be dark side influence, like Jay was mentioning, like just, okay, this is the way it's, this is kind of Palpatine, or the dark side of the Force is willing it to happen in order for this outcome, so we can finally have, they can have the Sith finally rule the galaxy again. And, it's that's kind of where we are. Like, there's no real, I don't think there's any real concrete answer to it, but it's, that's what the round table's for. At least we have a few options now we can think of. But that's awesome, Jay. I appreciate that. It's, questions like that are, really stir the conversation and get everybody thinking. It's like, well, or rethinking, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was this, or, like everybody's, just an example. I was thinking of, everybody's dealing with this news of Carrie Fisher. Is she going to be in 9? Is she not going to be in 9? We know she's going to be in 8, but maybe she'll be passed away. And then I even went as far as saying, okay, well, we all knew Padme passed away by unnatural causes just because she gave up. Or maybe losing so much, like just like, Anakin's dark, I'm dying. Maybe they can tie in Princess Leia's or General Leia's death to the same thing. Maybe you're a Force, maybe not a total Force user, but a Force adjacent, and something happens in the Force that's so disturbing that that's it. Like you're something, you got to go. It's a weird. I know it sounds really weird, but it's just as far as Jay was saying,
you think then that Obi-Wan and Yoda would have like keeled over when Alderaan exploded? Exactly. Yeah.
It's okay to interject a little bit. I have a bit of a few thoughts about that. I actually am very, very unhappy with the way Padme was treated in the prequels. I think her death was just kind of ridiculous, to be entirely honest. And Revenge of the Sith to me is the best of the prequel trilogy. But that ending, I just never fully, I don't know. It just seems kind of ridiculous that George Lucas would just say that she just lost the will to live because she's been so, sorry, what you're going to say?
No, but that's my point. Maybe being Force adjacent or Force sensitive, maybe something in there, or being close to an event very powerful in the Force, whether it be Leia and Kylo or Padme and having the twins and Anakin, maybe they can almost retcon Padme's death with Leia's death, saying it wasn't just because, plot, it's because they can answer it, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you're saying now. That makes more sense, and I'm happier. I'd be happier with that explanation, I think.
Yeah, but
that would definitely...
It seems like a novel.
They
James
took the Artax arc. Remember Artax from the Never-Ending Story? The horse that just died of, it gave up the will to keep on trying.
Yep.
And broke every 12-year-old's heart at the time. Well, that's too sad of a story arc for any character, and they should never have repeated it. So I like your retcon as well.
Well, that's what I mean, and I think my retcon would be better served in a novel. You mean, because you could actually weave in the tapestry, but then because you could take that horrible, Luke, Leia, I mean, I'm dead, and no, something physically happened to her. Not midichlorians. I'm not talking about. You get an IV pole with midichlorians dripping into her or something but you can make at least. Sorry, guys. You can at least make sense of her death being wait a second, and have somebody say, wait a second, Luke and Leia's mother passed away of the same thing. It was something Force adjacent. I don't know. I haven't quite hammered it out yet in my head, and Lucasfilm hasn't called me yet. Again, and Kathleen Kennedy has placed a restraining order against, but that's neither here nor there. That's why I wasn't at the Jedi panel. I wasn't allowed to go, even though I was 200 feet away. Let's just say that. Anyway, okay.
We'll tell the judge.
Awesome. Okay, sorry for that side tangent, Jay. You had an awesome question. It just, this is what the round table does. We spin round and round and don't always end up where we're supposed to be.
I mean, if this was the Skyhoppers, I would be calling this episode 50 milligrams of IV midichlorians or something. So
yeah, no, for sure. I think it got named as well. And any good podcast, like a good psychologist, does not want to cure or fix or answer anything. You want to just give 5 or 6 new questions so that the people keep coming back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no money in the cure.
That's correct.
No, there's not.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, that was Jay again. Thank you. That was awesome. But we're going to take a quick break. And I had a nice little 10 or 12 minute chat with our friend from Australia, Matt Keegan. Awesome guy. And we're going to, to the magic of editing, he's going to plop into this round table. And he's got a question for us. And when we come back, we're going to answer it. So here's me and Matt Keegan sitting around for a little one-on-one round table. And here I am with the magic of editing. I am one-on-one with Matt Keegan, all the way from Australia.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, this is great. This is a Canada-Australia connection.
Right, this is good.
So this is kind of our solution to get Matt onto the round table because of Matt, you and I right now, we're 14 hours apart. I'm just almost 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. in the evening, and You're just starting your day, I guess.
Yeah, 9 a.m. here. That's right.
So you're already on to Thursday, so you're that much closer to the weekend, I guess.
That's it.
Awesome. So here it is. We're going to place this right into the smack dab in the middle of this month's roundtable. So the floor is yours. Is there anything you wanted to? We'll save a question till the end of our little chat. But is there anything you wanted to discuss about anything at all? Our VIPs, the community, the Star Wars itself, a new movie trailer.
Yeah, the community. I'm glad you brought that up because that's honestly the first thing I look at when I wake up in the morning. I'll grab my phone and it's straight to the Star Wars VIP group. And, I just love those guys. And I was saying to Mark the other day about how all my friends are idiots, but all my Star Wars friends are here in that group.
Yeah.
So I've come to think of them as brothers and sisters, I guess you could say.
Oh, absolutely. And believe me, when I started doing this roundtable, it was my sneaky way to be on a Star Wars podcast.
Yeah.
Because I got my regular weekly show, but I heard the guys on Talk Star Wars having such a great time, and I'm like, oh man, I got to get in there somehow. So here we are. Now we got the round table, and
yeah, it's weird. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I stumbled on Talk Star Wars. What was it? Nearly a year ago, and I was on my way to work, trying to think of a podcast I could download to listen to at work, looking for a Star Wars one.
Right.
I found going through all these ones, and there's all these American ones, and I'm listening to them, and then some were good, some were bad. And then I hit Mark's Talk Star Wars, and straight away the English accent. I thought, oh, this is different, because we're just in Australia, we're bombarded with American stuff. I guess you guys are too.
I live an hour away from Buffalo, New York, so believe me, yeah. It's like, not that I love Americans, but it's like sometimes it's like, I guess all of our social media and all of our movies and television, everything else is so much content comes out of the States. It's hard to find little local niches.
That's it, and the same for us. It's just cheaper for them to buy an American show than make their own. But anyway, so I started listening to that show, and straight away I thought, oh, this is great, and bought into the VIP group. Then there's a Facebook group, and honestly, it's just a highlight of my week to be chatting with guys from Canada and England and Ireland and the Netherlands, Scotland, all over the place.
Yeah,
it's just a really, really good community.
Well, it just shows. It shows you the fandom, and I went down with Mark recently to Celebration, and imagine this: like Mark and I had to spend 5 solid days together because we both went down Stag, and we were both like, "Okay, we're just gonna go down there. We're gonna try to get as much stuff done for the Commonwealth and the Talk Star Wars VIPs." And could you imagine meeting anybody else down there? Like, that could have been a nightmare. But except in this community, in our VIPs, like, yeah, I'd go to Celebration with any one of you. It's like, it's just
I know. I'd love to one day. I really do want to meet up with everybody. But it's logistically it's very hard.
Oh well, yeah.
But one day it'll happen.
Yeah, it was for me. It was unbelievably surreal. Like I had craft beers with the Rogue Squadron guys. That was one of those things that I guess you kind of have to do, like when you're with those guys, and they're everything you expect them to be, like super nice guys and just a good time to hang around with. The Skyhoppers, young and full of energy, and actually Ben is on this round table.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's going to be listening to this after, going, "Hey, wait a minute, that's me they're talking about." Yeah, but they were awesome too to hang out. It's just everything you'd hope for when you meet these people, and like you said, the community's fantastic.
Yep.
Also, you're quite the artist.
Yes, yeah. That's one of the things that's drawn me to Star Wars is the visuals, and some of my earliest drawings, of course, were of Star Wars. Like all kids just want to draw Star Wars. So.
Well, I think we all start with the TIE Fighter. Because
you can do an H and an X, you've got a whole space battle going.
Exactly, but but you took it way further than I did. Like I think I couldn't. I remember as a kid trying to draw the Vader helmet and nope, that's not working. Can't make it work. Oh well, on to something else.
Do one. Yeah, the Vader helmet. I've still yet to do one. It's on the list to get done. Nathan was asking me about that the other day. It's there, but I've just got so much to do. I do a lot of commission work too, which is hard with my job and the writing to find time. And I've got a backlog of requests of stuff to be drawn, not Star Wars stuff, just motorbikes and trains and portraits and stuff like that. But
well, also too, now that because you've taken that, now that you're an artist, you're a Star Wars artist, and then the deluge was. Once that levee breaks, it's one of those communities where it's like, I love it so much, I want to get involved. And next thing you know, your diary is just full. Like God, I got no time for anything else but my family and Star Wars.
Yeah, and even trying to find time for the family is hard as well. Because it's my job. I shift worker, and I don't start at the same time every day. Every day is a different hour, so it's lack of sleep, and I'm away overnight on the train, and you get home, you're trying to sleep all day, and then and trying to find some spare time. That's where the podcasts come in, because I listen to podcasts at work, and I do a lot of writing at work. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm all too familiar. Like I said, my father was a railroader for 37 years, and that's why we talk and using the military time, because everything has to be proper and right.
Yeah.
And, and when the phone rings, when you're on the spare board, when you're on the spare list, it's like, well, there goes today's plans.
Yeah.
So
yeah. My wife knows military time now, because that's when are you going to be home? I say, I'll be home at 2300.
There you go.
So she understands that now. She has to.
Well, yeah.
A few times she's made the mistake. Are you going to be home at 7? And I'm thinking, are you talking 7 a.m., 7 p.m.? 1900. What is it?
Yeah. Exactly. It's well, hey, but we make it work, and like you're saying, like people in this community are really. I don't know, mate. I don't know if I was asking the guys down south in Florida about this. I was like, is it something about Star Wars that brings out? The genuinely good people when it comes to the diehard fans, or is it just because of our common interest?
Yeah, it's weird like that.
Yeah.
There's a coffee shop in my hometown of Newcastle called Empire Coffee, and it's run by a father and son who are in the 501st. And
oh, wow.
I only just went in there. That's been here for like a year, and I've just never gotten time. Finally got into it about a month ago. Went there and said hello to them, and they're having a massive day on May the 4th coming up.
Yeah.
All the 501st are going to be there and that. But I went in there and started chatting to them, and as soon as I said, I walked in with a Star Wars T-shirt on, and straight away they're just, I don't know, it's that fandom where you're just so happy to speak to someone that's got the same likeness. You might disagree on characters and movies, but it's collectively it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
So anyway, these guys, I've given them a copy of my the DL44 that I drew.
Oh yes, yeah.
That Mark's going to give away. So they're moving locations, the shop, and they frame that up and put it up on the wall, which would be good. It might give
fantastic.
me a bit as well.
Well, you got to tell them about the Commonwealth. Maybe they'll have that playing in the background.
I'm going to have to get them into podcasting, so they can start listening. I might even do a video show from the coffee shop. They got amazing stuff in there.
That'd be fantastic. And actually, I hear rumors now. Of course, people come to podcasts for news, so please don't take this to heart. But Celebration 19 or 2019 might be in Anaheim.
Okay.
So that's a little closer to you.
It's a little closer, yeah.
It's one flight.
That's right, yeah.
So maybe we can all save our the railroad pennies and maybe sell a few pieces of art, and you can make your way over, and we'll try to get as many of us there as we can.
Because when's the Disney World part of the Star Wars thing opening up?
2019, yeah.
Yeah, because my kids, of course, want to go to Disneyland. Never been there before.
Well, Disneyland is in California, in Anaheim, and Disney World is in Orlando, where it was just now. So, but I believe that Disneyland in California is opening in 2000. It's a perfect fit. I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah. But, so I think I may have talked the wife into sort of combining.
Yeah, just tell her you got a vacation and then you got some stuff to do for 4 days.
Yeah, something to do with work. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta do some railroad stuff across the ocean. Awesome. So this is great. I'm so glad we were able to squeeze you on. And again, because of the time differences, this round table, as we speak, hopefully through the magic of editing, we'll be hearing from Wesley from the Netherlands.
Cool.
And we got some other guys from the Eastern time zone and all over the States and Canada and all over the place. So this for now is the best way we can get you on, unless we can all combine our vacation time and we can be up at all weird hours. So the last bit, do you have a question you want me to pass around the round table when we get together?
Yeah, well, listening to the Tumbling Saber yesterday, I don't know, Katie had a question about a clone-specific movie.
Yes.
And I thought you'd almost stole my question, because mine was going to be about about a novel. See, I've always been a big fan of military fiction.
Right.
I think my father he's a Vietnam veteran, so I've always had that sort of affiliation with, the grunts on the ground and stories of hardship, and that's why I'm a big fan of the Republic Commando novels that Karen Travis did. So I was wondering, I know for Lucasfilm to do a movie about clones, I don't think that'll happen because there's just too much else to choose from. But I think they could tackle a clone-specific novel or comic. So I was wondering if they could choose a clone or a group of clones to talk about, who would the novel be about? What would it be about? I'm thinking following Order 66. They've done the integration from the Galactic Army into an Imperial Army.
Right.
We know Rex and Wolf and Gregor are out of it. They've removed their chips and they're off doing their own thing. But I'm interested what the other guys think about a novel concerning maybe Bly or Cody. Neo. Neo's the one that's always interested me. The guy on the speeder bike. He looks very, very dark and brooding, even though you only see him for a few seconds. But yeah, awesome. Who would they do a novel about if they could choose a novel? Absolutely. Which clone? What would it be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, well, I won't comment on it because I'll wait for the round table, but we'll pass it back to the round table right now. And again, awesome question. I'll ask the guys about it. And thanks again, Matt. I really, really appreciate you being able to sneak on our show here.
No worries, mate. I hope I get to do it again another time.
Awesome. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, mate. See ya.
All right, there we go. So, see the magic of editing. That was Matt Keegan and myself chatting one-on-one. Matt, all the way from Australia. So, guys, the clones, if they had a novel or comic after Order 66, who would you want the story to be about, or what would you want it to be along the lines, like what, plot-wise or something? So, I'll throw it off to Ben first. What do you think?
It depends. If I kind of had two answers, I guess. Oh. If we do have to pick someone, like, because novels, I guess, work best when they've got, like a main character a lot of the time.
Right.
I would want to probably focus on Cody. Okay. Because he's the only character. If I'm not mistaken, in like Revenge of the Sith, we don't see Rex, right? Rex is a Clone Wars entirely character.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah. Well, Cody is kind of established to be Obi-Wan's friend. Yeah. In Revenge of the Sith, or like they have a good relationship. But then when Order 66 goes out, Cody is like so quick, he follows the order. Yep. He just tells him to blow Obi-Wan out of the water. And having that kind of relationship and having him do that 180 so quickly, I think he'd be a really compelling character to follow in some kind of series. But if it's only going to be one person, I think that it would almost work better as a comic. I don't know how far you could take one person, just kind of one person like that. But if you wanted to focus on more of an ensemble cast, like the novel Twilight Company, is one of the new novels that I really, really enjoyed. And if they were to do something like the old Star Wars Battlefront 2, the one that came out, 10 years ago, whenever
like
it was.
The PC style.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that game was fantastic. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
But their story mode was the, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but something like Rise of the Empire, where you start out as clones fighting in the Clone Wars. And you're playing as soldiers in the 501st, Vader's Fist. Mm-hmm. And eventually you kind of follow those clones as they morph from the Republic. You play through Order 66 on Coruscant, mm-hmm. and then into the Empire. You turn into stormtroopers. And I would like to see a novel kind of like Twilight Company was, where you've got this ensemble cast of characters that kind of morph through Order 66 is what I would like to see. I'd like to see a little bit of character and relationship building, like with their Jedi commander. And then, they've got to kill their commander, which I wouldn't be happy to see, but it kind of has to happen.
Yes.
And then life under, I'd love to just see it about the 501st, honestly. Like Vader's Clone Legion is the one I would like to see.
Yeah, that would be super awesome. James, what do you think?
I have really no Star Wars-based answers, so I'm going to say I'd like to see a comic book called Order 67, and it could be all about Montreal Canadiens captain Max Pacioretty, his adventures in the kick-ass city of Montreal, which has the Expo 67 tie-in too. So it's like a title with layers, you know?
Yes, exactly. And Expo 67 was it's kind of like a World's Fair. And of course, the Montreal Expos came to us, I believe, in 67.
That's right. No, sorry, that's
69.
not true. 69.
Yes, sorry.
And see, we got to say 69 in your podcast, so it's just we're hitting all the bases. I'm raising the bar and raising the bar.
Raising per se. Yeah. Well, see, and this is one of those directed questions. Unless you're heavy into the animated series, it's so hard to wrap your head around. I'm going to throw up to Jay. What do you think, Jay, with the clones?
Yeah, Ben kind of stole my thunder there. The thing I would most like to see is the 501st, and that's because not for any Clone Troopers reasons. I'm not really a Clone Wars guy, but like most people, like most lovers of the franchise, I just love Vader. And I think even from the Clone Troopers side, there must be some kind of residual PTSD there or something, especially if some of them saw him slaughtering younglings and just even though they're programmed to do that, the just the sheer mass of trying to take on Jedi, I think that's a fascinating story. And to get in those troopers' heads, I think, would just be the story that I would most like to see. Besides that, I don't think it would be anything or anyone that we've met yet in the Clone Wars. Just somebody off on a remote planet. Maybe somewhere on Alderaan for some reason. Maybe there was a Jedi there. Anything that would give me a chance to see something that I've never seen in the Star Wars universe
Right. before
or read about, I think that would be fascinating. I'm always trying to get more Alderaan.
Yes. Well, and we can't get any more because that.
Yes. That ship has sailed.
Yes. Too soon? No. I'm with. I like Ben's idea of Commander Cody. I mean, they had this relationship they built up in the prequels with Obi-Wan, and then just all of a sudden to flick the switch and I can understand because he's programmed, they have the knee-jerk reaction to okay, good, this is what I have to do. I follow orders. I'm going to shoot Obi-Wan or shoot the closest Jedi, and then that I have no problem with him being mind controlled to do that, but it's the afterwards dealing with, oh my God, what did I just do? No, I'm not was I in a trance? He realizes why he did it and how come he did it, but he just dealing with the fact that he just tried to shoot, his, I don't know if they were friends so much, but even if they served together for so long, mm-hmm. they're gonna have some sort of bond,
and they've probably saved each other's bacon a number of times over the years. So yeah, it's got to be. Of
course, yeah, brothers in arms type thing. So. Yeah, I could see something like that. I don't know. I can't. That would be more of a novel. I can't see that coming off on the comic page. Clones look great in a comic. Don't get me wrong. But I just can't see that heady story being able to be told on the comic format. It'd have to be definitely a novel. But then again, with the Clone Wars animated series, 6 seasons of that, plus the prequels, plus everything else, I don't think the public is really starved for more clones. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm sure we are, but then again, right now we're on a podcast made for people that are fans of podcasts of a Star Wars. So we're Inception podcast. You know what I mean? So to us, we'll take it all. We're I'll read the 300 pages on why Cody feels bad. Right on. I don't have any time, but I'll squeeze it in there.
To kind of bounce off of that, I think it would be really interesting, to incorporate Jay's idea into our idea that we had kind of collectively. Vader to me is the most compelling when he is viewed through the eyes of a normal person or from somebody else. Right. Every time I have seen an everyday soldier describe Darth Vader, it has given me so much more fear than he ever did just on his own on screen. Yeah. And maybe that's kind of a minority opinion because I've talked about it on the Skyhoppers before. Vader didn't really ever scare me, and then I saw the end of Rogue One and then I was just like, oh dear God. Yeah. But I think that would be really interesting, especially, you know, Vader has to kill a couple of his own men a few times, or, you know, decides to be really ruthless, because these guys are still going to follow his orders unquestionably. But you have that kind of cognitive dissonance where it's like, okay, we're going to follow this guy, but if we're stuck on this planet and he decides to Death Star it, then that's it.
Yeah.
He won't feel anything for us.
Yeah, and they see him he has no problem choking people out whenever he wants to, or I mean, there's been tons of jokes made about that. Like,
yeah.
James, your thoughts on Vader? Like, obviously, okay, we can go on and on and on. Obviously, there's 6 movies and umpteen dozen comics and novels and everything else on Vader, but do you think just him alone, like, as where is he? Like, is he like almost like an Imperial officer, or is he just? You think the other people, like the other junior ranking officers, the Imperials, look at him and like, oh my God, he's just fear, or is he just like an arm of the Emperor? Like, where do you think they place him?
Yeah, no, well, for me, I've always, and unlike Ben, I was terrified of Vader when I watched the originals.
Yes.
But then again, I was, 6 and 9 or whatever. So, certainly more impressionable. And I had much, much less of a field of comparison. I hadn't really seen anything violent or like that before. So, yeah, Vader scared the heck out of me when I was a kid. And I didn't find him terribly scary at the end of Rogue One. But
oh yes,
we've been over that on my show before.
Yes, we've heard your opinion on it. Why didn't he just steal the data disc?
But yeah, short movie. I get it.
Yeah.
We'll move on. But yeah, I think Vader is probably, in my opinion, anyways, feared by everyone. I think even like the people who, as he was working his way up and through, the people who he had to report to were afraid of him. Even I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen so too. I always thought, you mean when he was like, Tarkin holding his leash from New Hope and everything else, like it wasn't like he was the big bad or like he was the liaison to the Emperor for everybody else. He always seemed like, yeah, he was up there, but he was kind of like, he was almost like the muscle. But I didn't put that together until much later because, James, much like you, I was a kid in the 70s, and 2 of the scariest people on the planet were Darth Vader and Gene Simmons. now I can watch a Kiss video and chuckle now, and I actually usually do. But that's Vader's kind of always held on. Like, obviously I'm a grown man, he doesn't scare me, but what they did with him in Rogue One, yes, I understand he could have forced taking the data disc and roll credits, but but aside, like, just him being terrifying was like, yeah, okay, it works, still works. Like, I can't see Gene Simmons and be terrified anymore.
Really, because I am.
Well, for other reasons, but
yeah. Of course.
Yeah. So yeah, I can definitely see that with Vader. And again, there's another side tangent. We were talking about clones and Codys and brothers in arms, and back talking about Vader. But that's Star Wars. That's what we do.
I'm quite familiar with tangents.
Yeah. We've heard your show. It's like, oh, great! Look at it. It's a good thing you don't title your show afterwards, because if you titled it what you're in your show notes, this is what our main topic's going to be. We're going to talk about blue milk, and then it's nothing but Cody and post-war.
It would be in the credits. Be like, and blue milk. Something about blue milk. That's what we called it.
It's been brought to my attention that some people throughout the Commonwealth have been using Skyhoppered as a
as a verb?
As a verb whenever you tangent. So this episode has already Skyhoppered a few times.
Yeah, we have.
I personally love it. I love it.
I do. Yeah, it works too, and especially with the hop in there. It kind of
exactly.
It fits. Awesome. Okay, well, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a quick short break to hear from a sponsor, and we'll come back and we'll see if we can wrap this up and get into a couple more tidbits of conversation. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So, okay, we got time for a little bit more here, and because we have a weird situation at the Round Table. Ben, myself, and Jay, we were all in Orlando last month, or I guess that's almost last month. It's almost May. It's May tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier this month. And James, you weren't able to attend, but we're gonna try to get everybody's opinion. I know most of the podcasts have been over. Yes, we all know the news from Celebration, everything else, but comparison, being there to being on the outside looking in. We'll toss it off to Jay first. What do you think about actually being right in it?
For Celebration, I had a fantastic time. I loved every minute I was there. They did make everything. The whole thing was about choices, I found. You had to choose. You had to plan your day at least the best you could, because you could only do so many things.
Yes.
They made everything seem really, really exclusive. When the doors first opened, if I wanted to go see The Last Jedi trailer and to get into that Star Wars show cage at the front, I had to either make a choice of doing that or running and getting my exclusive figures at the Hasbro shop. I wouldn't be able to do both of those things, really.
Yeah.
So when we were, for instance, for The Last Jedi trailer, when they showed that, I was on the very, very outskirts. I was almost in a vendor's booth that was selling toys. I wanted to stand up on his table to get a better view of that, actually. So the sound was, I would describe it as almost, I don't know what it's like for those at home, but I'm sure it was nice and crystal clear on a big screen TV with nice volume. Listen to this. I sound like I'm complaining that I was actually there. I'm not.
Yeah. No, we understand that.
But I described it as a kind of muted energy because you couldn't quite hear the trailer, and I couldn't quite see all of the screen because if you saw the pictures from home, or also if you were there, they had this massive giant TIE fighter in the front that almost looks like it was there purposely to obstruct your view if you weren't close enough to the Star Wars show stage.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I first watched The Last Jedi trailer maybe 3 or 4 days after when we moved to our other hotel at Disney, and I had actually really good Wi-Fi that I could load it up on my phone and hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're here. Actually, were you, now it's just not to get too, it's going to be boring for the listeners, but when you were there, so you were pretty much behind the TIE Fighter, closer to where they had the food court area?
Opposite side of the food court area. It was almost right in the thick of the vendors.
Okay, so you were probably about 15 feet away from Ben and I, because we were pretty much right in front of the vendors, right? Mm-hmm. Just far enough away, like on one side of the TIE Fighter to actually see the screen. But but Ben, Celebration, can you make heads or tails of it, or have you?
I've had time to process it, and it was. As you know, being as big a Star Wars fan as we are, it was a fantastic experience. Easily one of the best weekends of my life. Just because I was surrounded, it was just like, I believe you said this we were in Orlando, Rob, where it was like you could just, if for whatever reason someone was not watching the trailer, if you're in the mall. And there's a screen and someone's sitting there playing the trailer. If you tap some stranger and tell them to look at the screen, they're probably going to be like, who are you? What's the matter with you? Yeah. But it's like if someone for whatever reason is not looking at the screen at Celebration, you tap them excitedly on the shoulder, turn around, point at the screen, and they'll be like, oh my God. Everyone was there for the same reason, and everyone was there. Just the excitement was palpable at all times.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. But the trailer... Talking specifically about the trailer.
Yeah.
As you said, we could see the screen.
Yep.
Hearing things was another thing entirely.
Yes.
Well, you were because we were literally standing side by side watching it, and then so there we are watching this trailer, and then we scurry off to the hallway where we can get close enough to an outside window and get a slight Wi-Fi signal. Yeah. I think it was outside the podcast. Ironically, outside the podcast theater, they had. Stage, and we got a signal, and we all huddled around our phones with our headphones on and actually watched the trailer. And you can go to YouTube, you can see Ben and I along with Mark and Ash, and we recorded that literally minutes after all that went down. And it's one of those, it's just, like the trailer reaction was one thing, but the celebration was another. James, how did you take in the weekend? Like, I'm not saying this to well, you didn't get the little celebration or whatever you mean. Like, no, this.
No,
I'm
totally
asking.
get it.
I'm asking seriously, like, if because there was so much information rolling out, and you mean you're much like myself, family guy, stuff to do on the weekend. Like, did you just kind of come home at the end of the day Saturday and say, okay, what happened? Or
Yeah, a little bit. Well, first I'll say you guys have been kind. If off topic quickly, if you guys have like a kilo of salt each, I've got some open wounds.
okay,
You guys can just keep at it.
sure, yeah, we got a
with your
kilo.
celebration talk.
What's a kilo?
Yes, I was gonna say.
Yeah, so that's about 2 pounds, 2.2 pounds of salt.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Or
like-
watch
like-
Scarface, you'll see it's a big pile.
Yeah. Right. Right.
No, you know what? Yeah, sort of exactly what you said. There's a lot going on Twitter, but I sort of left my phone off. And then once the kids were in bed, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night, we recorded the Tumbling Saber.
Right.
So once the kids were in bed every night, I'd sort of like let it all flood in, everything that happened. And by that time, I also had reaction to go with it. So like very little of what I got was what you guys got was like fresh and completely raw. I got like, here's whatever it was, a trailer, a clip, a costume, and a whole bunch of reactions to it, comments and whatever. So I got it all at once, which was, it was neat. We got a lot of stuff sort of to take in. And as is evidenced by the fact that most podcasts are still on about celebration. Right? I think there's a lot of also the idea versus the reality. Like when it comes to weddings and Sweet 16 parties and whatever it is, like the idea of celebration is very romantic, but the reality of celebration is a little grittier.
Oh yeah.
I think you guys are sort of attesting to that when you say you relish a little bit the people who got to watch it from the comfort of their couch.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my opinion. Okay. As obviously anybody listening to this is obviously a Star Wars fan. Yes. If you get a chance, go. Absolutely go. We have other reasons to go. We just like Ben's from Indiana. I'm from 40 minutes west of Toronto. Like, we're not going to bump into each other at the Tim Hortons. Jay might, because Jay, you're 40 minutes south of me. We might bump into each other at the Canadian Tire or the Tim Hortons or an OHL game, right? So, but yeah, we don't have the queue here, James. But Ben, yeah, like so for us, it was very. I was mentioning this to Mark. It's very weird because when you're in that environment, you can almost get a little bit too overreactive towards stuff because you're so immersed in Star Wars that you cannot physically step out of it and go, okay, that was weird. That was a trailer. That was this news. That was this news. But you just let it wash all over you. And then you don't look back and go, okay, maybe I'm overreacting or maybe I'm, I didn't get to see that panel. You know what, Rob? It's okay. Like, you're at Celebration. Relax. Be cool. And you're way overtired from travel, from, I think we don't have a Chili's up here, Ben. So that's why that Chili's became the Commonwealth dining place but it was just like, I don't know what's good and I have to eat, and that wasn't horrible. So I'm going to eat there. Oh, there goes our Chili sponsorship. But anyway.
Crap.
So
What you said wasn't horrible. That's like the best review they've ever had.
Chili's, we're not horrible. Brought to you by Round Table.
As a vegetarian,
Right.
Applebee's has nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's a wasteland.
Yes.
Well, there you
Chili's
go.
has a black bean burger,
There you go.
There you
and it's
go.
pretty good. So
Whoa, not terrible and pretty good in one review.
That's not exactly finger looking good, kind of quotable, but anyway, back to my point. We're in Celebration, and you're way overtired, and you're with people, and you go through this kind of. And if you're not a super fan of Star Wars, you can't really understand it, especially being there. So Ben and I and Mark and Ash, we'll probably not all bump into each other in regular life, and we just met, and we had this weird experience. Unforgettable experience, and then boom, we're gone. It's not like I bump into Ben at the water cooler at work going, oh, that concert was awesome, or that, we went to Burning Man together and it was freaky, and or whatever we did. It's just, I will forever remember Mark and Ben and Ash in this bubble of this thing that happened. It's almost like when you go on vacation with your wife and you're in Jamaica and you meet this couple that's from wherever, and then
that's a different podcast.
Yeah, I'm not talking hedonism. I'm not. And don't worry, James. I remember this vow of secrecy we took with our wives. We're not going to mention that. So, it's like that's the best. Anybody that's traveled on vacation and spent time with people, because when you're on a vacation abroad or anywhere, or like you're on a tropical island or Jamaica or something, and you're with these people that are in the same vacation slot as you, so you get to know them. You have this awesome time, and it's you remember every moment, and then boom, you're out of each other's lives. It's strange. It's very. And because you love Star Wars so much, and because you're so tired from the travel and the lines and everything else, you're not quite ready to deal with it. It took me a while after I got home. I'm like, okay, what happened there? Oh, that was cool. That was a thing. If that makes any sense at all, I know.
No, it does. I can speak to that entirely. Because after Rob, after I watched the trailer, Luke is my favorite character. I was very, very concerned about Luke.
Yes,
after that trailer. But now that I've had a little bit more time to come around, I have done some of my own speculation. I've looked into some other people's theories and thoughts on the trailer, and I'm feeling a lot better about it than I was. I think there's a lot of good things that are going to come out of this movie, and I'm still a little bit worried. I mean, not for the quality of the movie. I think the movie is going to be really good. I just am talking about Luke's personal story arc. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much exactly what you were saying. It took me a lot of time to kind of decompress once I got back. And about the weekend after I got home, I was like, okay, maybe the sky isn't falling.
Yeah.
Maybe things will be okay.
What was weird for me is because because we made sure, okay, everybody message each other when they get home, when their planes land and you're actually on the ground. And you were home and it was just Sunday morning and we were there for the extra day. And you're like, oh, you guys are still there. And it was like, wait, you're back to normal? And I'm still in this thing? It's like, what? Like, it's just very bizarre.
Yeah.
But any advice? I would say, I don't know, the other Ben and Jay, I've talked about this with Mark. I mean, I think next time, if you just go there, if you can go there and enjoy the floor and get whatever panel you can, if you're that type of person, great. If not, try to go there with a plan. Go there with, okay, my whole thing is to get a Mark Hamill autograph. Everything else is secondary. Or my whole thing is to see the new movies panel. And if I have to stay up all night and wait, that's fine. If I have to lose a day at Celebration, that's fine. But that's my main thing. Don't plan to see it all because you're not. James, you saw everything. You probably knew more about the weekend than we did.
Yeah.
Like I remember listening.
I can sort of relate. I'd rather be at home to watch the Masters than be at the Masters because you can only see one hole.
Exactly. That's perfect. You couldn't have said it. I've been searching. Mark was saying, "Oh, it's like you're standing in front of a tapestry and you're nose to nose with it, and you could feel it and smell it and love it, but you can't see the whole thing."
That's right.
And that tapestry and the Masters, that's a perfect analogy for it. So, anyway,
Can we talk about the Masters?
No.
Yeah, sure.
We can, but Masters in Star Wars. Masters
I think I can say the way I felt about Celebration when it was over is that from all the lines, I had a sore lower back and sore knees, and I was sick of lines. Yep. And at the same time, I could have done 4 more days. Yes. It was these conflicting feelings. That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, oh, if I never see another line in my life, I'll be happy. But I could do 4 more days of this, apparently.
Well, I was saying that to Mark. We would be back at the hotel room, and I'd be lying, I'd be FaceTime the family and take a shower and everything else, and I'd be getting ready because I had about, another half an hour before everybody was meeting for dinner. I'm thinking, what am I doing at the hotel room? There's Star Wars Celebration is going on right down the road. Like, I'm not going to have this on Tuesday or Wednesday. Like, get your ass back there. Like, tough it out, you wimp. Anyway, I think we've rambled on quite enough. And again, thanks, guys. Again, this has been awesome. We've now can add Ben and James as our co-hosts to the table of round. And Jay, it's been awesome. This is what it's all about, is to get the listeners and people like you that are just as passionate about Star Wars as we are, and come on and talk. And actually, instead of talking to us through Twitter or Facebook or a message board or something, you can ask a question and you get a reply, and then you're like, no, that's not what I meant, idiot. What I really meant was. Because so many times I get that a lot. Like, I've done it before too. I send in questions to a show and be like, oh, well, here's your answer. Like, that's not what I asked. So.
Yeah, Kyle.
Anyway, I'm gonna. Sorry. All right, we're piling on. I got a moderator. That's what I'm supposed to be doing anyway. So I'm gonna whip around the room. Jay, where you got a Twitter handle or something you got going on, or where people can find you if they want to chat more Star Wars, or?
Yeah, very easily. It's Jay Winkworth 23 on Twitter.
Yep.
When I am not there, you can usually find me on the Star Wars Podcast Alliance Facebook page, chatting it up with friends, and of course on the Talk Star Wars VIP page.
Yes, that is a must. Talk Star Wars VIP. It's awesome, and Corey and Kyle have actually jumped on too, and they've been getting into the fold, and it's just a nice hub for people to meet. Ben, what do you got going on? You do a Star Wars thing, don't you?
Do I?
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
Tangent Cast.
Tangent Cast, indeed. I'm one of the co-hosts of the Skyhoppers podcast with fellow Talk Star Wars Round Table alumnus Ash. Is alumnus is it a gendered alum?
I don't know.
Alumnus?
Okay. I personally prefer the term Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Yes, fellow Talk Star Wars Round Table Illuminati Ash. And we talk about pretty much anything and everything in Star Wars. We are at SW Skyhoppers on Twitter. I'm ferretlicious on Twitter, as weird as that might seem. But
after listening to you for this last hour, no, I don't think it's weird. I think the listeners like, yeah, it makes sense.
It actually makes me really happy. I hope that's the vibe people get from me. But we're on Facebook. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, everywhere you could, YouTube. Everywhere you could possibly want to find our podcast, it's probably there.
Awesome. And James?
Star Wars podcasting ×2. So we got the Tumbling Saber podcast at tumblingsaber.com and all those places.
Right.
iPod, Stitcher, etc. And we got the Sith Disturbers one that we do for fun every once in a while, too. And then the boys do Journals of the Willing. So
yes,
we got
Steve.
the trifecta over at that one website, Tumbling Saber. And anybody who wants to find me can find me at Tommy Bombadil1 on the Twitter machine.
Awesome. Okay. Well, again, guys, this has been fantastic. Again, I appreciate everybody coming on the show. Where they can find me? Well, I'm glad you asked. I am Robert Cast on the Twitter machine. I do a weekly show called the Roman Podcast, and that's not Star Wars, but it's kind of one of those shows you listen to on your commute to work and you try to have a chuckle. Also, TSW Comics I do with Mark on the Talk Star Wars feed, and of course here on the TSW Round Table. So for all you guys, thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it, and I know I say this every episode, but I'm truly spoiled to get to come on and play in the Talk Star Wars sandbox with all of you fine folks, and get my Star Wars on. So, anyway, for episode 5, that's it, and we'll see you next time. Later.
Let's talk about Loot Crate. Are you on a quest for epic gear, housewares and collectibles? Loot Crate offers an epic range of pop culture items for less than $20 per month. Whether you're shopping for the geek in your life or you are that geek, Loot Crate is the best surprise you know is coming. Every month there's a different theme and new and exclusive items that you can only get with Loot Crate. Treat yourself every month or give the gift of geeking out to a friend or a loved one. You have until the 19th at 9 PM Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cut-off happens, that's it, it's over. Make sure to head to lootcrate.com/TalkStarWars and enter the code TalkStarWars and save $3 off your new subscription today.